Okay, here we have a series, and we have to find out if it seems to be converging or diverging, just based on intuition. And so the difference between a series and just a sequence is that with a series, you're adding. And you also get to choose where you start. This is the number where you start, this is where you end. In our case, we're not going to end at infinity because that would just take too long. So we're going to go just a few numbers just to show how it looks. So we're starting at 1. What happens if we let our n here be 1? What if we let n be 1? If that were to happen, we would just plug in sine of 1. And that would just be some value, right? That's what our first term is. Because we only went from 1 to 1. What happens in our second term in a series? You don't put the 2 there. We start at 1. We start at 1 always, because that's how it was defined in the first place. And we go to 2. We go to our second term, our second version of this series, and this would be sine of 1 plus sine of 2. It wouldn't just be sine of 2. So this is where it gets a little different from just a sequence. In a sequence, you just plug 1, then you plug in 2, then you plug in 3. And so each term is 1, 2, 3, and so on. With this one, you're adding. You're adding the previous one. You can't forget to add the previous term. And so when we have these partial versions of the sum, this is what we're analyzing. We're analyzing, what if we just plug in 1 term? What if we plug in 2 terms and add them? What if we plug in 3 terms and add them? What if we plug in 4? And this is how we get an intuition for where this is going. And so this would be sine of 1 plus sine of 2 plus sine of 3. And we would keep plugging in numbers up here at which we end. So we would go to sine 4, sine 5. And if you actually look at what these values give you, they don't seem to be going anywhere. This one's like 0.84 something, this one's 1.75 something, this one's 1.89 something. And if we keep going, we get 1.135, 0.176. You can plug these into your calculator, then it becomes negative, then it becomes like 0.5 something. That's because if you keep adding something where you're plugging in sine, an integer into sine, because of the nature of sine, it's never going to converge to anything.